Metron Ministries,
Well,
Florida City, Florida. Take one. Hello, everybody. We're back after a seemingly long break from doing our vlog, but we are back.
It does feel like it's been a long time.
It has been a while.
We've covered a little ground since then, so it's.
I think the last time we did one was we're just getting to leave Texas.
I think that's right. I think that's about right.
So where are we?
We're in Floral City, Florida. Not far. It's probably halfway between Tampa and Orlando, somewhere about that. So we are in the home of, or parked in the yard of the home of Gary and Carol Benefield here. They're members at the Vineyard Church in Brooksville, and they've been gracious to us, been very good to us as we've been sitting in their side yard for almost 2 months.
Yeah,
my goodness, and it's been a fantastic time. We are. Yeah, we talked last time, I think, a little bit about sort of the plan this year where we were going to kind of go regionally, move from, from Texas to the other end of the Vineyard Southeast Conference region, Southeast Conference, Gulf Coast Conference. Boy, that tells you where my mind is, isn't it?
Right.
No, not that conference. We're in the Gulf Coast region of the Vineyard, and so we're here in Florida, sort of serving the vineyards here in Florida. We've been in I don't know, several over the last few days and weeks, and we've had a marvelous time here. I think it's exceeded our expectations. We weren't sure what it would look like when we started talking about taking the motorhome and living in an area for a period of time and see if we could serve. And
but we did get to do what we had the vision about a couple of years ago about visiting churches and staying in their parking lot.
That's exactly right.
We did it in Louisiana.
We did. We spent 3 or 4 days, I guess, in Moss Bluff, Louisiana, in their parking lot of the church, and exactly the way we initially sort of dreamed and envisioned living in a motorhome and doing ministry, and that actually had not happened. But we'd done it a little bit in Jackson, but it was pretty nice, neat situation there. And just speaking of, we visited several churches even between Houston and here. We were in 3 or 4 churches just before we got here. And since being here, we've been in 3 or 4, and it's been very, very good. I think we can say it has exceeded our expectation.
But we're living out now, I think, what we had originally, like I said, dreamed of that a couple of years ago about doing it and fulfilling the primary mandate of going and encouraging pastors and leaders in churches. And this is going to be an interesting year in this experiment of going on the road with the rig. And
it's had its challenges. I mean, what are some of the things that have surprised you doing this?
I think I didn't think I would notice it as much, but the sense of it, I didn't realize how much having a designated home base like we did in Houston near the kids, that really was a home base. And it was, we traveled all the time. We were gone a lot, but it was always coming home to a stationary point. And now it's not that. And now it's being okay with the unexpected things that happen. Because if you've never done this before or had an RV, particularly a motorhome, they say traveling in a motorhome, it's like your vehicle, your home being in a 7.0 earthquake while you're going down the road. And that's going to affect things. So we knew that, but it's just kind of like, this is the most we've actually ran the coach at any one time, and it's shaken a few things loose.
We've had a few things that stopped working the way they're supposed to, and so we've had to be dealing with some repairs and things that are certainly not fun. They add a lot of stress to the situation, but you know, God's taking care of it. He's
He
got
always
us,
does.
but that definitely has been a surprise. And as Marie was referencing, I think it's just a little more stress than we expected, just in the not having home. You
Hmm.
know, the plus side of all of this is we are not doing the, you know, Houston to Tampa, Houston to Orlando, Houston to Chicago, Houston to
Right.
LA, where we're flying, you know, 6 times or more a month. But what it is doing is while we're here, we're really busy,
Yeah.
even during the week, which normally the way we had done, we were very busy
Weekends
weekends.
only.
But since we've been doing this, the weeks are pretty packed up also. And so, you know, somebody,
But we're doing more sitting down face to
we
face
sure, yeah,
like we wanted to do.
yeah. You know, back late last year, I don't remember who it was, but somebody said, you know, your impact will double this year. Of course, when we heard that, I went like, we can't do more than we're doing, right? I don't know what that means, um, and I still don't know that I know what that means. But we're definitely sitting down with more people, right?
Hmm.
We're having more face to face, and even just being parked here, certain pastors and different people in the vineyard, we have had a whole lot of
Right.
FaceTime with, that would never have happened. So I can see how this is playing into some of those things, um, and we're just simply seeing more people.
Now, something has happened that just warms your heart to no end. It gives you inner peace.
It
That
concerns me what you're about to say. I have no idea where you're going.
is the you've been notifying regions coming up, the pastors in the regions where we're going to be and when we're going to be
Mhm.
there. And what's happened, Duke?
It has filled up our schedule. And, I mean,
Non-stop.
people say we want you this weekend. We want you this weekend, and we got a weekend here. And yeah, I'm not going to lie. That you know,
It makes you feel so secure.
we've always like, well, my big one of my biggest fears when we started this was,
We wouldn't do anything.
what do we do if nobody invites us to come? You know, and so it has. I am excited about, one, the interest in
Hmm.
having us, but just what God's doing, He's just opening doors that we never imagined. We never saw this coming.
Well, what is the other big encouraging thing we've been hearing more now is how the word of mouth between pastors to pastors or areas or whatever about the impact of what it is God has all of us doing. Those, we're the ones actually going, but you're doing it as well with your prayer and your support and keeping up with it is the impact that it's happening. There, the thing of you've got to have them come because you may not know you need what God has to say, or you may do it, but you really got to have them come. It is making such a difference. And now those that we've been to already are, when can you come back? When can you come back? And so that's just really encouraging for us. And I hope for you to go, you know what, this really was God. This really is God. And at times when you're in the midst of it, well, you know this if you do any kind of ministry, in the moment you're like, did that really have an impact? And then you find out the next day or shortly thereafter that where maybe you didn't see or thought or feel like you felt anything, but to the person on the receiving end, who it's all about anyway between them and Jesus, Jesus rocks their world. And
Yeah,
believe me, that's worth it.
yeah. Yeah, and the downside of that is that I've actually found myself lately, and it's the first time since we started, of having to tell somebody, no, we can't make it, we can't go, we don't have time. You know, that. that drives me crazy. I didn't see that coming, but we're at a place where there's one church I particularly feel a need to go to, and trying to find a place to make it happen because of how packed up the schedule got so quickly that I don't know that we're going to be able to. And that's a new place. That's something I've still got to figure out how to process. Let's see, on some other.
I was going to say, so with the church side, visiting church to church and pastors, that's been going really, really well. But then we had a major trip when it comes to the foreign side, the international side, down to Colombia, South America over Holy Week, over Easter. Want to bring them up what we were doing down there and what the exciting change was this year.
Well, yeah, the Colombia trip, which most of you know, we've been working in Colombia for quite a long time, but this was the final of a series of what we call national conferences there, at least of the planned series of conferences. This was the third of three we had been part of. And it was one, just first off, it was in itself just a fantastic time. And I always love being with our friends down there. Some of the things going on in Colombia that are exciting is the second generation leaders starting to come up and take more prominence and more position in the churches there, which is very exciting to us. But we also
and we have 2 new church plants happening.
And we've got 2 new churches in Colombia, 2 plants going on. We had at the conference one church that's not a La Viña, not a vineyard, but is wanting to adopt in, and they were there to kind of explore and get to talk about that. So again, growth is happening, but we also had growth from the U.S., where predominantly over the last, as long as I can remember, 10 to 15 years, the Colombia partnership of churches was predominantly 2 churches that were doing the work in Colombia. And just in the last few weeks, we've added 3 new churches that have joined that partnership. So now all of a sudden we've got from 2 to 5 churches supporting the work there. And what's exciting to me is that out of all 5 of those churches, only one of them does not have a pastor that speaks fluent Spanish. And so to have all of our partner churches having a strong Spanish background, and actually one of the pastors is actually Colombian that is leading one of the churches that joined us. So very exciting to see the work in Colombia coming with that kind of a strengthening and the joint, the unified vision and the strategies that were coming out of just having those new voices are already paying dividends. So I think some of the things we've worked toward and dreamed of for a long, long time suddenly feel very, very possible in Colombia. So excited about what's going on there. I was going to say, I did have one other. You started this whole thing a while ago about gave you peace, and I thought I don't know what she's talking about, and I started thinking, what's happened that's giving me peace?
Boy, that's a lack of trust.
Well, there were, absolutely. When it comes to that, you were setting me up, but
yes.
But the other thing that gave me peace is I got the newest toy. I got a 3 monitor system for my laptop. I have now got in the RV a little I don't know, it looks like the cockpit. It looks like a cockpit setup. I've got 2 extra monitors on my laptop. I finally feel, first time since we moved into the RV, that I actually feel like I've got a little computer system office space that makes me very, very happy. And
if he hasn't already, he'll post pictures.
Oh my goodness, it's the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing ever. I didn't even know it existed, and I don't remember, somebody showed me one in our travels, and I said, someday I've got to have that. Well, someday came about a month ago. I found that, bought that, and now have my little computer cockpit on the bus, and I am so happy. I am so happy with that. makes me. I just feel complete. Anyway, that's good.
We're all happy for you too.
So anyway, got a busy thing coming up. It's just kind of the way it goes. We'll be in Tampa this weekend or next weekend, Orlando, and then we're going to be ministering in Savannah, Georgia, then Bloomington, Indiana, and then we're on to Cincinnati and a whole nother set of churches that we'll be working with there. So, man, it is exciting. We're having a good time most of the time. When our RV is not having problems, we're having a really good time.
But everything runs simultaneously. I mean, God's He's meeting His people where they're at, and He's encouraging them, and Jesus is reminding His church, I haven't gone anywhere. Yeah, I'm still in your midst, and I hold you securely in my strong right hand. I'm here, and to remind you of that, I send people to remind you of that. You're not alone. And I'm still quite active, and I'm still winning and still succeeding. And I haven't forgotten about you. I see you, I know you, and I know you by name. And we all always need constant reminding of that in the midst.
Yeah. Well, we are we're just more certain than ever that God is just in love with His church, and that He wants to move in His people, through His people, and on His people. And so we just continue to move forward in that best we understand it.
Right. So we're going to draw this one to a close. The next time you hear from us will be in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. And we'll update you when we get there. And until then, thank you again.
Yeah,
thank you for being on mission with us.
This is our third year of this, and I'm still just astonished at how God has seems like He's orchestrated every step. He's always multiple steps ahead of us, and you guys are such a part of it. Yeah. And so we just bless you. We bless just your commitment to the work of the Lord, and your commitment to us. It means a lot to us. So bless you. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right. So let's see how this looks.
You're sitting too far forward.
All right. So, hey, gorgeous.
Hi, handsome.
That was working. That one I'm keeping either way.